Welcome to Powering Through Life, the podcast. I'm your host, Teresa Sims. I'm a coach, an author, wife, mom, survivor, and thriver. Each week on Powering Through Life, my guest and I will discuss a special topic that's close to their heart. Together, we will explore the challenges they have faced in life and learn what strategies and tools they have used to power through their life. So get ready to be inspired, motivated, and become a thriver. Hey, and welcome back to Powering Through Life. I have the most incredible guest with me today. She is such a dynamo and I consider a personal friend, but just someone who rocks the business world and rocks the personal development world. Her name is Jennifer Forster, otherwise known as, may I say it, Jen? Jen 5-star.
Yes, please. Please do.
Jen 5-star. Jen is an NLP trainer, master practitioner of NLP, timeline therapy, and hypnotherapy. And she's also the co-host of Inside the Mind podcast. She is here to show you how to harness the language of your mind to consistently achieve whatever you want more of in your life. Combining science-based neurolinguistic processes with ancient wisdom, Jen is masterful at observing, very true, identifying and clearing negative emotions, limiting beliefs, and ineffective patterns of behavior so you can take charge of your mind and therefore your results. Jen's also a successful entrepreneur, the author of The Power of a Peaceful Woman. She holds a master's in business, has pioneered change in women abroad, and has succeeded as an elite sports person. At the heart of the matter, Jen's a storyteller. And let me tell you, this is true. Jen is a storyteller, a funny AF, and I have to ask her, it says just ask her, projector in human design. Horus, with a splash of Sag rising, would draw weapons at dawn over a box of kittens, is a coffee connoisseur, almond with an extra shot, thanks, a tree hugger, an outspoken introvert who loves to wander the world. Jen, welcome to Powering Through Life. I'm so excited to have you.
Teresa, I'm so excited to be here, and I really loved hearing you read that, and I was giggling away at some of the things. I am a storyteller. I would draw weapons over a box of kittens, for sure I would. And I am a coffee connoisseur. I start my day every single day with a delicious almond latte with an extra shot. And I'm often asked about the extra shot. I'm often questioned, that's 3 shots, ma'am. Are you sure? And yes, I'm 100% sure.
But it's only one coffee, right?
That's right. It's one. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. I have that conversation with my children. They tell me that it's 3. I tell them if it's in 1 cup, it's just 1.
I think you're okay with that, not to worry about it, right? But,
Mm-hmm.
I love the topic that we're going to be discussing today. And most people won't understand just the title of it, but we're going to dive deep into it. And I know that you've done and experienced this work. You teach this work. I've also experienced this work through you. So it's a great topic. And it's falling in love with her.
Her in inverted commas.
Interesting. So who is her, Jen?
Yeah, her to me, if I were to say it another way, Teresa, it's how my story is how I fell in love with myself. And I call this part of me that I connected to a few years ago now. I call this part of myself her, because it's almost like I've connected to this hidden part of me that I never ever knew. And she is a part of me. And so I personify almost everything in my life. That's another little known fact about me. I like to personify things and experiences. So when I connected to this very deep and loving part of myself, I wanted to personify that as well. So I call her. So she's me. She's just she's another aspect of me. Yeah. So yeah, that's who her is. It's just how I fell in love with myself. You know,
What was lacking in your life, Jen, that made you go on this mission or journey to want to connect or find who her is?
yeah, I love that question, Teresa. And I call it the year, the year of the overachiever. And for me, that was in 2017. So my whole life, and I think if there are any women in particular listening to what I'm sharing today, you really identify and relate to this. I spent my entire life um, looking to receive love and validation, albeit unconsciously, through achieving. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I think that as young women, we were we were encouraged to be the good girl, do the right thing, help others, always put other people before you, which to me just simply translated into this sense of achieving, this sense of um, always being good. And good to me was a version of achieving. If I get 10 out of 10 on my spelling test, I'm a good girl. If I win the running race, I'm a good girl. If I help around the house, I'm a good girl. If I write a letter to my grandparents, I'm a good girl. So there were all these things that I did to be the good girl that just became this achievement-based system for love. And so over the course of my life, my achievements needed to become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, because the dopamine hit that I was getting from being a good girl, it's like a drug. It was like an addiction. So the achievements got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And in 2017, that was the year for me that really was the the culmination in it can't get any bigger than this. Something's going to have to give. So in 2017, on my to-do list, my goal list, were things. These were just a handful of the things. So in 1 year, this is 1 year. Now I look at this and I probably would only have one of these in a year. I had all of these in 1 year. So I was very entrepreneurially, I still am entrepreneurially minded. And so I was hired by a couple of stakeholders to take their business plan and turn it into a fully profitable business in a building that hadn't even been built. So it was a project manager role, it was a management role, it was a marketing role, a sales role. It was all the roles rolled into one. And I decided that I would take that on and I would have it fully profitable by June that year. So a business plan, no building, no business, to a business that's now open and fully profitable by midway through the year. I also decided that I was going to trek to Everest Base Camp. I also at the time was studying my master's in business, and I decided I was going to do that in 1 year, which was back-to-back subjects, 12 subjects back-to-back for 12 months. You can't do it that way now, which is a good thing, I think. And so now I'm working full-time and studying full-time and training full-time to be ready to go to Everest Base Camp. And then I decided, well, if I'm going to go to Everest Base Camp, I may as well throw in a 100-kilometer ultra trail marathon at the end of the year and do that too. So they were just I just put that on my 2017 list like I was choosing items off a menu. It was really, I think back now, and it's I don't even know that version of me now. And so I did all those things in 2017. I achieved all those things. However, at the end of 2017, I became incredibly ill with what the doctors were referring to as a mystery illness. They thought I had viral meningitis. I spent, a night in hospital. Nobody could figure out what was physically wrong with me. And now what I know is, my body, her, if you like, that part of me just got to the point where she said, no more, no more. I want you to see me and know me. And we're not doing it like this anymore. We're not going to continue to seek out our worthiness through achievement. And so that was my year where everything kind of imploded on itself. I imploded on myself. So I left my work. I left everything. I literally turned my back on the world and became, like a barefoot gypsy, just wandering the planet and not doing anything. I did write my book at that time. However, it was a complete pendulum swing. And so now what I understand, because of the work I teach, what I do understand now is, for those, for all of those years leading up to 2017, what I was accessing was my masculine energy, which is the doing / action taking part of ourselves, which can often in women be hyper stimulated, especially if you've grown up in the in the generation like myself. I'm a Gen X, or even prior to that, or even after that, where being the good girl was what was fueling all my intentions, right? All my actions were a result of that. To me, that's how many women become locked into just just masculine energy, the doing, action taking part of ourselves, which is an important aspect of ourselves. However, when it's the only part of us that we're accessing, it does have an expiry date, because at some point our feminine energy is going to say, hey, hello, what about me? So that's what happened for me. So it was a complete pendulum swing, not ideal either. So if you consider what I've just shared, that I was, for the majority of my life stuck in this doing, action taking, and that's all I had access to. Do it, setting goals, doing, achieving, and taking action. That's all I had access to. So to do the complete pendulum swing back the other way and now become somebody who just literally sat on a cushion and meditated around the world, whilst amazing, and I encourage that, only doing that was no different to, I now understand, was no different to being really, being caught in just doing all the time. And so I didn't, the confusion for me, Teresa, is that I didn't really understand that I was doing either of those things. I'm only sharing this now on reflection because I now know these parts of myself, her included, intimately. And I have now not just an awareness, I have a relationship with those parts of me. Yeah, I hope that all made sense.
It does, absolutely, Jen. I mean, I'm sure a lot, like I recognize myself in what you were saying too. Always being told to be the good girl, always, being demanded that you get good grades. If you didn't, you tried harder, so you got that perfection. And it is almost a perfection. And it can be so draining to keep that going. And yeah, victim of it myself, actually. And I understand that. And I'm sure there are a lot of listeners out there that are going, yeah, that sounds like me too. Oh my goodness. So how did you come across the feminine energy work? Because I mean, a lot of us aren't even aware, like you said, that we're in a feminine energy or we're in a masculine energy. It just, we have a job to do. We have to get it done. We go and do it.
Yeah.
So how did you decide or find this?
Yeah, how I found it was literally through connecting with my now business partner. So, and without going into that as a, to keep it to the specifics, it was through connecting with Ali, my business partner, and she was teaching. She started a movement. She started a movement called Goddess Day. Now, when I first heard of this, I'd known Ali for over a decade, and we were acquaintances. We were not friends. However, we were acquaintances. And she had started this movement called Goddess Day. Now, I'm in my barefoot gypsy traveling the world sort of version of myself. However, when this was shown to me, Goddess Day, I was so triggered by that as a concept. Goddess Day. I'm not a goddess. Who am I to call myself a goddess? Oh, I was like, it felt so icky to me. And so I knew enough to know that something was, there was something unhealed or unobserved inside of me. I knew enough to know at that point because I'd done a lot of self-development and personal growth. That's what I teach. So that was the world I lived in. So I knew enough to know my not being able to be with this whole goddess thing. There was something had my power there. So I went to this Goddess Day event. I sat there in my little masculine bubble, if you like. I just sat there very rigid and very unemotional and very, I didn't speak to anyone. I just went because it was triggering me, this concept. And then at the end of that, Ali shared a program that she was doing that was about empowering, it was like a goddess container for one of, I can't remember what it was specifically called. So anyway, so I did that. And it was through that work that I truly understood, wait a second, I'm not just the doing, action taking. I'm not just that. I'm also this feeling, emotional person too. And being all of one or all of the other isn't the way. And it was so discombobulating, Teresa, initially when I first became aware, wait a second, there's a time in my life when taking action and doing things is really important. And not either or, and there is a time in my life where being really connected to my emotions and my feelings and being, just being in this, in the softness and the receiving, there's a time for that too. Not all the time. There is a time for that too. And for me to access both, it meant having a relationship with both. So, for a long, long time, I was, I don't know, bitter, resentful of this version of me that had been the overachiever. I was really mad at her, so mad at her because, all she just got us a whole bunch of burnout and chronic fatigue, and I was so mad at her. And then there was this part of me, this softer part of me that I'd never connected with, who, was able to be with her feelings and be with her emotions and love her. And when I say that, I mean, when she was angry, being able to love her when she was angry, when she was sad, being able to love her when she was sad, when she was, frustrated or confused or ragey, any of those things, recognizing there was a part of me that was experiencing those things and that was okay too. So now it was very much like stepping out of my body, having an out of body experience and seeing these two almost holographs of me that were me, and yet I'd never seen them for their beauty and their power and their strength and their softness and their ability to give and their ability to receive. Like they each had these really special and beautiful attributes that when those attributes were combined together became this power, this incredible power. And when I say power, I don't mean power over or power like powering over something. It was more an empowered sense of power. It's difficult to, I don't know if I'm really, I don't know if I'm really capturing this. It was like having two, seeing, it's like there's three of us now.
Yeah.
There's me, the one driving the bus, for want of a better word, and then there's me, the action taker and the doer, this really strong me. And then there was this me who was the receiver, the softer me, the gentle me, also extremely powerful, extremely powerful. She was the dreamer, and she's the dreamer and the visionary. And and then I began to understand, wait a second, these two parts of me don't know each other. They're not talking to each other. Wait a second, what if I got them talking to each other too? What if I got them to connect with each other? So now there's this part of me that is the doer, the giver, the action taker. Now, what if that part of me connected to the part of me that has the vision and the dreams and the feelings and those deep pleasurable sensations? And now the doing part of me brings to life the dreams, the visions, and the imaginings and the feelings. Now that started to feel very different for me. It felt like both of those parts of me now were doing what their purpose was all along, and not separate from one another.
Yeah. That's
So
incredible, Jen. Like, to celebrate both aspects and to celebrate the differences that each side or each energy has, and to find a blend of the two, or bring the two together to introduce them. What a beautiful relationship that creates.
Yeah. And that was, the starting point there, Teresa, was for me. First of all, I didn't know myself in this way. I truly didn't. All I knew initially was I'm a high achiever. And I used to wear that as a badge of honor. I used to tell the world, yep, I'm a high achiever. I'm an overachieving woman. Give me the hardest option. Make it a challenge, make it as hard as possible, and you watch me. I'll show you how I overcome that. I didn't even know that was masculine energy. I really didn't. I just used to think, this is who I am. This is just who I am. I was so identified with that, as this is just who I am, that there was no capacity for me to even meet the softer side of me, the feminine side of me. And when I say feminine, I don't mean female. I mean, she's the receiver. She's our emotional center. She's our dreamer, our visionary. Those things that I've said. She doesn't need a reason for anything. Whilst the masculine energy is analytical and logical and needs reasons, feminine energy doesn't need any of that, because she just knows.
Yeah.
She just knows.
Beautiful.
So
the masculine has to prove a point, and the other one does not.
Does not.
Yeah.
And imagine now imagine having two parts of you that have very specific purposes, not connected or not talking to each other. You truly can see how for many women in particular, the masculine energy becomes our identity. We think this is who we are.
Yeah.
And it's not who we are. It's just a part of who we are. And there's this other part of us that so my metaphor, one of my favorite metaphors is if you were to give an action take, if you were to not give instructions to an action taker. So imagine there's, a little, what will I use as an entity? A little dwarf out there, or a little gnome, or a little pixie, and he's got like one of the seven dwarfs, right? Think of one of the seven dwarfs, and he's got a little, shovel over his shoulder. But no one's told him what to dig for, or where to dig, or why he's digging. However, he just knows it's his job to dig. So now he's just running around digging holes left, right, and center, and feeling very accomplished because he's digging all these holes. But the holes don't have any purpose or meaning. They're just holes that he has just dug. Now, imagine if somebody gave him a blueprint, a map, a set of, a blueprint or a map, and said, now I want you to dig. However, this is why we're digging. This is where we're, this is the dream. Now we've got purpose and action colliding, coming together. And that for me has been what has changed my life, what has changed my world exponentially, because I now spend equal parts of my time, my day, connecting to the dreamer, the visionary, the part of me that has the map, and then allowing my action taker to build the dreams of my feminine.
So
Can you
it's
feel
incredible.
the feeling of like, oh, okay, now we're actually getting somewhere. Now we're working together. So so for me, it's, connecting with her, which is this feminine energy, has just been so life-changing, because she's got the map. She's got the dream. She's got the vision.
It's incredible, how many of us, in the way we were raised, believed that we just had to get out there and do it, take charge, and get on with it. And that's what we were taught and told we had to do. That's not necessarily the best for a lot of us, because now we're searching. We're searching to come to terms with ourselves, who we are, what we stand for, and what we want out of life. And this is a beautiful way to find it, is it not?
Yeah, yes, it is, ma'am. Yes, it is.
So how
In
do
many
you
ways,
Go
well, I
ahead.
was just going to say there, in many ways, without connecting to this part of ourselves, and you can call it what you want, I just call her. Without connecting to that, we're literally building other people's dreams and visions. We're literally striving for someone else's definition of success. We're going after someone else's values, not our own, because we've never connected to what those are if we haven't connected to that part of ourselves.
Very true, and very good point. And you know what? I will admit to everyone, I just learned that lesson recently. It's you know that. It's
I do. I'm having a little chuckle.
Yeah. Yeah, you should be. It was, yeah. I mean, I had no idea. Everything I had accomplished in my life was based on that masculine energy of just go and do it. Success
Yeah.
is built on action, 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 action. And but you're left wanting, you're left needing, and you've left a part out, a significant part. So how would, if I wanted to connect with my feminine energy, Jen, how would I go about doing that?
Great question. Really great question. The way I began to do this was through a process called charting. Now, the very first time this came into my space, my initial reaction was, well, this seems like a lot of work, and I'm not really sure that this is going to do anything. So I don't know that I'm going to bother with this. So that was my first reaction. And I now know, of course, that was masculine, my masculine energy just going, nah, this isn't, this doesn't seem important. This seems like a lot of work for no, where's the win here? Where's the accomplishment here if I do this thing called charting? So that was my first reaction to it. However, charting is really how women, and I'm speaking specifically to women now, charting is how we get to connect with our own personal codes, if you like. The part of us that it's how we get to connect with it's like the Da Vinci Code. To me, it's like the Da Vinci Code. When we know ourselves in a way that shows our uniqueness, then we're connected to ourselves in a way that it's not anyone else's version of that. It's not anyone else's interpretation. It's very unique. So charting, what is charting? So this is for all women, whether you are experiencing a menstrual cycle or whether you do not experience a menstrual cycle. I started doing this work when I went into menopause early at 45. That's a whole nother story. And so I didn't even start doing this until I was around 53. So I didn't have a menstrual cycle, so to speak. However, every woman has a cycle, and it connects. It connects to the moon phases. It can connect to a menstrual cycle. However, it's a 28-ish day cycle that women go through, and it's just like nature. It's exactly like nature. And my metaphor for understanding this, I'll just give you a little bit more on the charting process, then I'll give you a metaphor for this. So every day for around about 3 months, and now a little bit beyond, but a minimum of 3 months, every day I would make a note in my diary that would give me just a snapshot. I was looking at myself. I just wanted to look at myself on a daily basis and get a snapshot. So I looked at my food. What food was I desiring on that particular day? My mood. What was my mood? Was I happy, sad, angry? What was my predominant mood? And my energy. Was I really, did I have a ton of energy, or was I feeling tired and lethargic? And that's what I did on a daily basis for about 3 months. Then after I began to overlay the moon phases onto that information and started to look where the moon was sitting. Was the moon full? Was the moon new? Where did the moon sit over the top of that? Then I overlaid any significant events that were going on in my world and my life, whether, had I had any significant things like I've just overcome 2 weeks of an influenza A kind of thing. I would have put that on there. Okay, for these 2 weeks, I had an illness, all of that significant information. And what happens is what will come through for you is this very distinct code of where you will have spent a couple of weeks in your feminine energy, which is where we are softer, we require more rest, we might require, to receive more, we might want to be a bit more introverted, we might want to not be around the world so much. If you've got an online business, you might not be inspired to be online. You just might want to be with your, in your own energy. And then there will be 2 weeks where you will be like gung-ho. You're like, yes, I'm nailing this. Yes, I can lift heavy. Man, I just got a PB in the gym. I've just had all these ideas and I'm just like, go, 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 go. I'm so pumped. 2 weeks of that. So across that 28 days, you will start to see this code, this evidence of where you are cycling through 2 weeks of feminine energy and 2 weeks of masculine energy and 2 weeks of feminine energy and 2 weeks of masculine energy, roughly. It's a blanket overview. We're all unique. It might be slightly more or slightly less. So my metaphor here for understanding this is, if you think of an apple tree, a beautiful apple tree that produces the reddest, juiciest, plumpest, most delicious apples. So if you can picture that for me. Now, imagine that tree. Does it make apples non-stop? No. No, it does not. For one particular season, you're going to get the reddest, juiciest, plumpest, most delicious apples, and that will be in the season of summer. Masculine energy, producing fruit. What happens after the summer season and all of the fruit has been produced? Well, the tree will go into a phase called autumn. Autumn is feminine energy. That's where the leaves drop, any of the fruit that hasn't been picked drops, the leaves dropped, any little bits of branches on the edges of the trees drop and return to the earth, return to the root system, if you like, almost self-nourishing if you think about it.
Yeah.
Feminine energy. And then what happens after winter? Well, that apple tree then stands through winter and it's got no fruit on it, no leaves, no fruit, no nothing. And to the naked eye, it might just look a little tired and exhausted. However, what's happening down in the root system, down in the dark, it's nourishing and restoring itself through drawing up nutrients from the earth. Then what happens after that? Which is feminine energy. Sorry, winter is like feminine. We're retreating and restoring and re-nurturing ourselves. Then what happens after that? We go into spring. Spring, you see the apple tree. Now it's got tiny little pink blossoms on it, and it's got tiny little leaves starting to shoot through, and it looks like it's birthing life, and it looks, we know what it's like to see a fruit tree that's just coming into fruit in spring. It's invigorating and uplifting and inspiring. That's spring, masculine energy. And then what happens? We return to summer, and now we are producing those fruits, those delicious plump red apples. That is exactly what it's like to be a woman. Exactly.
That is the most incredible metaphor I've ever heard.
Yeah. So that is my metaphor for understanding my monthly cycle. I'm not meant to be producing apples the whole month.
Yeah.
I'm only producing apples for 1 week, roughly. And then I'm going to start my nurturing phase, my feminine phase, which is where I'm going to nurture myself, nurture my mind, nurture my heart, nurture my body, getting ready for autumn, winter, that's feminine, before I come back into my spring, where I'm usually bursting with ideas and, programs will drop in and courses will drop in and posts will drop in and content will drop in because I'm in my spring, masculine energy. And then I'm back to my summer producing the best fruit ever, the most amazing fruit. Now, if we circle back to how I started this whole conversation back to 2017, I was attempting to be an apple tree for the entire 2017 and was attempting to produce apples 24/7. No wonder at the end of 2017, that poor little apple tree, me, just went, oh, I'm done. I can't produce another apple.
Somebody help.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
And almost forced into my autumn and winter.
Yeah.
Almost like it was almost forced, right? However, one of the things that's unique about human beings is free will. We're the only sentient being on the planet that has free will. So whilst nature can't override its natural cycle, humans can. And so, yeah, to me, many women are overriding their natural cycle, which means that they are very much stuck in their summer. They're attempting to produce apples 24/7. And it's not sustainable, and it's not how we're designed. We are very much exactly the same as nature. Nature just doesn't fight it. Nature doesn't argue with it. Nature understands the cycle. And so this connection to her, for me, has been all about bringing balance to that relationship between those those 4 seasons, 2 of which are masculine energy and 2 of which are feminine energy. And in doing so, Teresa, the biggest thing that's changed for me is my self-talk. I don't talk shit to myself now when I'm not producing apples. I don't say things like, oh, you're just lazy. Oh, you're just so unproductive. Everyone else is doing stuff right now. You should be out there doing stuff right now. I just do not speak to myself that way. When, I can almost tell the time when I feel my season shift. I can literally, it could be on a Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m. and I will feel my energy shift out of that masculine energy into my feminine energy. And so when I now knowing myself that way now, knowing her that way, I honor her. And firstly, I'm grateful for all the apples we just produced.
That's the first thing, is to say thank you. And
Thank you. Look at this amazing season we've just come through. And now I see you, and now I know, in order for you to produce more apples, you need your autumn and you need your winter.
Yeah, that
And
is
so
beautiful.
yeah, and I love on her now. Whatever I used to be pretty judgy about people that watch Netflix and TV and all those sorts of things. I'm very open about that now. And Teresa, you know me this way. Yes, we have done some work together, and I consider us friends, above all. And how devoted I am to nourishing her and nourishing those parts of myself. And when I say retreating from the world, I don't mean I don't mean from an unhealthy retreating from the world. When I know my body needs to be rested and it needs some solitude, I give that to her. And I don't, I'm very open with the people in my life around that. I don't make up excuses. I don't make up lies as to why I don't want to go places or do things. I usually just say, I'm really, I'm in this, I really want to, I really am feeling that my body is asking for some cocooning time right now. So I'm going to honor that this weekend. And my friends know me for that now. They know that if I'm a yes, I'm a yes, and I'm probably in spring or summer. And if I'm a no, it's just simply because I may well be in my autumn or my winter. And then it's, I'm not saying, this is one of my favorite sayings that came through in a group that I ran a couple of years ago now, or maybe 3 or 4 years ago now. And it's this, I'm never saying no to you. I'm saying yes to me.
That is so true. And I think if more people learn to respect themselves and understand themselves, and to give themselves what they're craving, and unconsciously your body is craving those things, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And we're all about the unconscious mind. And we would be so much better off. We would be so much more in tune with ourselves. We'd be happier. We'd be more joyful. There would be a lot less personal conflict, or other types of conflict in the world. I think there's a great place for this, and we all need to learn more about our feminine and masculine energies and when that decides to show up for us. So, what is the relationship with the unconscious mind and feminine energy?
Yeah, so this is more about this is my view on it. So to really understand masculine and feminine energy, this is how I look at it. So feminine energy is our unconscious mind. And our unconscious mind is the part of us that feels, that intuits, that it's our emotional center. And feminine energy is also about the ability to receive. That's also feminine energy. Now, masculine energy on the other side of the coin, to me, is that's our doer, our action taker. I've talked about that. And in terms of unconscious mind and conscious mind, our conscious mind is it's our analytical self. It's our logical self. It's our, I call it the figuring out mind. You know, if we're in the figuring, if we're attempting to figure something out, then we're in our conscious mind and not our unconscious mind. And our conscious mind, masculine energy, is about giving. You know, it's like giving, doing. Let me give. If you are someone who struggles to receive, then you may likely be albeit unconsciously, spending an unbalanced amount of time in your masculine energy if receiving is difficult for you. So to me, the reason that I attribute feminine energy to the unconscious mind is because the unconscious mind is the part of us that feels, that intuits, that is our emotional center. Now, if we go back to the part that I spoke about around being the good girl, didn't cry. She just got on with it. She just brushed herself off, pulled up her big girl panties. These are all phrases that I quite abhor these days, and just got on with it. So, excuse me. So from a very young age, we were almost conditioned to be disconnected, not only from our feminine energy, we were also taught to disconnect from the unconscious mind as well.
Yeah.
And all learning, change, and behavior comes from the unconscious mind. So if change is hard, if you are someone who finds change really, 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 really difficult, and I would say that you're probably part of an 8 billion-ish strong club called the Human Club. To me, that's largely because we don't have a relationship with our unconscious mind, which is to me akin to not having a relationship with our feminine energy.
That makes a lot of sense. And that you just described me until I learned about this. Honestly. Yeah, and I know I'm not alone in that. So
definitely not. Like I said, you're very likely part of a 8 billion-ish strong club called the Human Club.
There we go. I'm in good company, but I'd like to shift that a little bit. So yeah. So if I wanted to learn more about my feminine energy and what the difference between the two are, that's something you teach. So how could we find out about that? How could the listeners find out about approaching about this?
To me, thank you, Teresa, for asking that question. It's to me, it's all interconnected. All of this is interconnected. Unconscious mind, conscious mind, feminine energy, masculine energy, knowing thyself. It's all an interconnected thing. It all connects, and that's why I have such a fascination with NLP, and why I have such a fascination with ancient wisdom, and why to me the two go together. It's almost, if I think about it now as I'm saying this out loud, it's almost NLP, is somewhat masculine energy, and ancient wisdom is somewhat feminine energy, and the two very much go together. So yes, I've created alongside, my beautiful partner in awesome stuff, Ali May. We've created a business called Inside the Mind, which is about bringing NLP and ancient wisdom together so that we can support people to know themselves at a really deeper level. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Congratulations on developing that, both of you, because it's groundbreaking stuff. And I don't know if it's groundbreaking, but I'm sure it's been around, but it's getting exposure thanks to you two. And
I think the way I love that you said that NLP is and ancient wisdom are definitely not groundbreaking.
no,
Definitely not. They've been around for a long time. However, what I do know to be true, and I know you know this to be true as well, the way Ali and I bring it together is absolutely groundbreaking. And the reason for that is because we don't teach this as content. We teach this as an applied as a way of life, and applying this as a way of life. And that's, to me, the key difference. My metaphor here is, we can read a book about Buddhism, doesn't make us a Buddhist, right? We just know a lot about Buddhism. However, if you apply the principles of the book, the content, to your life, then you will become a Buddhist. It's the same with what we teach. I believe there are a lot of people out there teaching NLP. In fact, there's millions of people out there teaching NLP. And in my experience, they're largely teaching it as content, which is just like reading a book about Buddhism. The way Ellie and I teach it is we teach it. In fact, we don't even teach it. We show people how to have a relationship with both their conscious mind and their unconscious mind, utilizing language and accessing the nervous system, and being, just really taking charge of your own mind. Yeah, it's about a relationship. That's the difference that we teach. That's the difference in what we do.
yeah, absolutely, for sure. And I'm enjoying learning from both of you, actually. It's been fantastic. So there's a plug for you. Uh, Jen, if you have a favorite quote or saying, would you mind sharing it with us right now?
I would love to share that with you, Teresa. And it comes from a book that changed my life in 2017. So I've mentioned that year several times. One of the catalysts for me taking that pivot, for that pivotal moment in my life, was the book, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. If you don't know the book, it's a book that I recommend, Ali recommends, Teresa, I know you even recommended it on a podcast. You were interviewed recently and you recommended it. It is such an amazing book. I think it's about 184 pages long. However, it is an extraordinary book if you are on a quest to know yourself and to understand the conscious mind and unconscious mind, which to me is the same as understanding masculine energy and feminine energy. He doesn't speak in that language. However, that's the basis of the book. The quote that I love that comes from the book is this: we are not the thoughts of our mind. We are the ones that hear them.
Ooh,
That's the quote. Yeah.
powerful.
And he says it like this: you are not the thoughts of your mind, you are the one that hears them.
That's true. And just so everyone knows, The Untethered Soul, The Journey Beyond Yourself, is from Michael A. Singer. And yes, I have my copy just as close as Jen has hers.
Yeah, mine's right here.
Absolutely.
Well.
It's one
I can actually tell you how many pages. I think it is 187. Is it? Or is it 181? 181 pages.
Oh, close, but it's one book that I would really recommend as well. It's I have it close like you do for a reason. And it is life changing. It is life altering. And it just puts you in touch with yourself. And we all need that. We all need more of that. And there's nothing wrong with that. We need to get out of the ideas that there's something wrong with us if we want to be in our feminine energy and not in the masculine side. You have to have the best of both, I think. And
yes, ma'am.
balance is very key, I would imagine, as well, is it not, Jen?
Yeah, definitely. And you know, that to me just comes back to the balance within nature. Nature has its, you know, nature, if it gets out of balance, it rebalances itself. However, it doesn't fight with the balance of nature either.
Very true. Only we fight with everything because we want control. And I think
Yes, ma'am.
once we learn to just give up that control over everything,
Mhm.
it's incredible what can transpire or what can be presented to you in your life. And we all
Mm,
need to just take a step back and just listen and be, and let our softer, our feminine side have a turn for a change, because she really needs it. She has a lot of wisdom in
yes,
her, right?
she sure does have a lot of wisdom. She really does.
Perfect.
And she, you know, she's got the map. She's got your map.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. For those directionally challenged, she will find the way for you. So there you go. Jen, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Yeah, for sure. You can find me at a couple of places. So I'm very easy to find on social media. I always say that I'm an FBI agent's dream because you can find me easily. Um, so I would say either my website, which is all the W's, jenniferforster.com, or our Inside the Mind website, which is insidethemind.love.
Love it. I love that. So I will be including all your links and where they can contact you, and anything that you would want to include in that, we will include in that as well. And everyone, get in touch with Jen if you want to learn more about what it's like to be and learn about your feminine energy versus your masculine energy, or vice versa. This is the lady to contact. Get in touch with her today. You won't be sorry, because she is just amazing as an instructor. She's an amazing human being who has transformed her own life. So she knows the work. She knows what's involved, and knows how to reap the rewards, because you're living that abundant life right now.
Thank you, Teresa. I just adore you. As you know, we love that you are a part of our beautiful community, and we love being a part of yours as well.
Oh,
Lots
thanks,
of
Jen.
love.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who joined us today on Powering Through Life with my incredible guest, Jen 5-star, also known as Jen Forster. And get in touch with Jen today. And thank you for being a guest and on Powering Through Life. I'm so happy. I know we did this once before, but that was just after that transformation, or just during that transformation time for you. So
Yeah, very
this is,
very just in the early stages, very early stages beyond it. Yeah.
yeah. So the difference, as I was saying to you before we started recording, I see the difference between then and now. And it is incredible. And the beauty that just shines from you is just, everyone needs to experience that. So this is what
Oh, you are
find,
so sweet. Thank
oh,
you.
you're welcome. This is what finding your feminine energy and knowing what it is all about, and knowing what your masculine energy is, and when to harness it and when to let it go. This is what it does for you. So get in touch with Jen today. Thank you for listening to Powering Through Life, and we will see you again next time. Thank you for listening to Powering Through Life, where we explore life's challenges and learn valuable insights from my guests about how they have powered through their lives to survive and thrive. We can learn incredible lessons by sharing and motivating the world through conversation. You can access all of the Powering Through Life episodes on my website, teresasims.com, YouTube, Facebook, and Spreaker. So join us again next time for another inspiring conversation.